about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So many of you have probably heard this headline that there are medications, there's a medication class that millions of people are taking that could cause them to do, quote, deviant sexual behavior, including pedophilia. Now, when I saw this headline, I'm like, oh, what? What? So what they're talking about is many individuals who are treating movement disorders and neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's and restless leg syndrome are taking medications called dopamine agonists. And these dopamine agonists, which can help increase your body's level of dopamine, as a side effect, could accentuate somebody's sexual behavior. In this study that looked at, I guess the BBC looked at reports and reviewed side effects, and New York Post is reporting on this, saying some of these quote-unquote deviant sexual behaviors include flashing, sex addiction, and even pedophilia, having a sexual affinity for young kids. This is very frightening. Reports reviewed by the BBC suggest drug maker GlaxoSmithKline has known about the risk of so-called deviant sexual behavior since 2003, yet patients claim their doctors continued to fail to warn them about these potentially devastating side effects. Dopamine agonists mimic dopamine. It helps increase that sort of response in your body, activates pleasure, your reward centers, but it helps from a neurological standpoint. And when they, unfortunately, as with every chemical, have multiple triggers or multiple actions from the medication's agonistic effect, and agonist means it can go into the receptor and help, as opposed to an antagonist can block dopamine. These are agonists. It could lead to impulse control disorders. And studies are showing 13% to 24% of Parkinson's patients on dopamine agonists develop them. Now, impulse control disorders could also include shopping. It can include yelling. It could also include violence. They're saying 13 to 24% of Parkinson's patients may develop this sort of side effect on these medications. Now, they say a warning about these risky behaviors is listed alongside side effects like nausea and insomnia. They go unnoticed or undiagnosed. Now, the U.S. American Academy of Sleep Medicine recommends that these drugs only be used for short-term treatment, such as end-of-life care. But a 2003 report from GlaxoSmithKline, reviewed by BBC, described 2 cases of deviant sexual behavior in men who were prescribed ropinirole for Parkinson's disease. And in one, a 63-year-old man assaulted a 7-year-old girl. The report said the perpetrator's libido has increased significantly from the start of his treatment, and his problem subsequently resolved after the dose was reduced. But that poor girl. They say at least 20 women prescribed dopamine agonists for restless leg syndrome told the BBC that the drugs ruined their lives. Many said they weren't warned about the serious side effects and had no idea what was causing their erratic behavior. One woman said she began leaving her house in the early hours to search for sex. She had been using the ropinirole for restless leg syndrome symptoms. And then she had unprecedented and overwhelming sexual urges. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, we have hyposexual dysfunction disorder in many women. Why don't you give them this medication to help them with their sex drive? I don't believe we're ready for that yet. I think we need to fix one issue before we go to that, but I am sure they are looking at that. When there are certain medications that increase a person's sexual drive, I am sure they're looking at other applications for it, but that's not the story of the day. I'm sure somebody's going to make money off of that. But what the issue of the day is we are taking medications that can sadly cause us to cause harm to ourselves, cause harm to others. And even though it's listed, these medications have hundreds of side effects listed. If a doctor said, look, you need this medication to control your symptoms, we have something to help you, but take notes, here's all the side effects. Diarrhea, vomiting, sexual promiscuity, this, that, lack of impulse control. The average person's like, look, I just want the drug and to get better. I'll deal with the side effects. Does the average person really go, look, I don't want any more nausea. I don't want any more diarrhea. I don't want any more constipation. They said there was a woman who began taking a different dopamine agonist and her low sex drive skyrocketed to where she became fully addicted. She started selling underwear and explicit videos online, organizing phone sex with strangers, and compulsively shopping, racking up $30,000 in debt. Then, to deal with the effects and her side effects, she used pain-relieving opioids and sleeping pills. And then she had to end up going into rehab, lost her job. So this isn't everybody on these medications, but unfortunately, impulsive behavior is something that can affect somebody with Parkinson's as it is. So to enhance that can be bad. And doctors need to be aware, and consumers need to be aware, that guns should be locked up, that somebody should be watching their behavior. You know, we take these medications for granted. People pop pills left and right. And there's this, I guess, naivety that nothing's going to happen. And we are seeing overdose after overdose, or drug reactions, or people being confused or falling asleep at the wheel. And we need to be a lot more careful and cognizant. I'm not saying don't take a prescription, but understand that for every pill you take, there could be some pretty serious side effects. And you need to always weigh the benefits versus risks. And you want to let your family members know to be aware. Anytime we start somebody on an antidepressant, we let the family be aware, or we tell you to let the family be aware to watch you, so you don't end up doing something that could still end up hurting yourself once you start feeling better. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So we do have some breaking news. Apparently, in Pakistan, separatist militants have hijacked a train. They have 182 hostages in their custody, and they are threatening to blow it up if authorities do not meet their demands. This is being reported by Daily Mail. The Balochistan Liberation Army held up the train, took 400 passengers, with around 200 of those held by the attackers that might have already been freed. The BLA reportedly demanded that the Pakistani authorities immediately and unconditionally release prisoners belonging to the militant group, threatening that the dozens of hostages would otherwise be killed. They also warned that any attempt by the military to advance on the BLA and free the hostages by force would result in them being killed. A very, very scary scene right now. The BLA said they had control of the train for more than 8 hours during armed combat with Pakistani forces, during which time it claimed it killed 30 government soldiers. The Jafar Express is a passenger train. It's currently held in a tunnel. The driver is badly wounded in a gun battle earlier today. So security forces said an explosion had been heard near the tunnel, and they were exchanging fire with the militants in a mountainous area, and they are seeking independence from the Balochistan province bordering both Afghanistan and Iran, and they said they have killed 20 soldiers so far and shot down a drone. Pakistani authorities have not confirmed it yet, but it is a developing and evolving situation. So the group says they have 182 hostages right now from the train, including Pakistan Army members and other security officials traveling on leave. Including these are civilian passengers, women, children, elderly, Baloch citizens. Actually, they say that civilian passengers, including Baloch citizens, women and children, elderly, have been released safely and given a secure route. Again, we don't know if that's been confirmed, but still there are 182 hostages. They said the BLA is the biggest of several ethnic groups battling the government for decades, saying it unfairly exploits Balochistan's rich gas and mineral resources. So we'll keep you posted. Hopefully, the hostages can be freed, and this will be over soon. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. All eyes are on this case where a Pittsburgh student, I believe she's pre-med, Sudiska Kohanki, was at the Dominican Republic with her friends and has gone missing. Now, there's a video showing her walking with a gentleman, Joshua Stephen Ribe, towards the beach in Punta Cana. Authorities believe that he was the last man to see her alive. This video was taken in the early hours of March 6th, so she's been gone for about 5 days now. She was on vacation with her college friends. Now, the video sees a bunch of them walking towards the ocean. This was about 4 a.m. Near 6 a.m., the others went back to their rooms, but Ribe and Sudishka decided to stay on the beach. Now, Ribe is alive. The police have questioned him, and he said that they both went for a swim. They got caught by a large wave. He was able to clamber back to shore, and then he said he fell asleep. Sudiksha was never seen again. They have not found her body. They've been looking. The Dominican police believe she drowned, but her family's like, no, she might have been abducted and trafficked. How frightening. So the family is calling for an investigation into human trafficking. Now, according to Daily Mail, a private investigator who probed murder victim Natalie Holloway's 2005 disappearance disagrees with the police theory that she drowned. All right, he said, I don't think that she drowned in the ocean. This is according to TJ Ward. He told Fox News, I totally believe that somebody knows something where she is, or somebody took her away, or somebody's holding her somewhere. If she had gone in the water, she would have washed up somewhere with the tide, the way that comes into the island. So he was part of the investigation of the 18-year-old Alabama high school graduate Natalie Holloway, who had vanished in the Caribbean back in 2005. Her body was never found. She was declared dead in 2012. In 2023, Dutch tourist Jordan Vandersloot admitted he killed her for rejecting his advances. Now, Konanke's family has expressed doubt that she drowned, has pleaded with authorities to look for more sinister theories. They said it's 4 days, and if she was in the water, she would likely have been strewn to shore. Her parents and family must be just completely devastated. And they say this, they went to the Rio Republica Resort in Punta Cana. That's where she and her friends were. And the gentleman she was with said they went for a swim. And then he was able to get back to the beach, but went to bed and went to sleep. You didn't look for her? Were you high? What? There's still so many questions. And, yeah, he's going to be a suspect until they can figure out what's going on. But, now that we're coming into spring break season, so I'm the type of parent that says no a lot. No, no, hell no, no. And I understand when your children are grown-ups and they can make their own decisions and they want to go to another country for spring break, and a very commonly touristy country. You need to remind your children and your family members that you don't have any control in terms of laws, in terms of getting local officials to help. What they do in America is much different than what they do in these other countries. And if the Dominican Republic says, look, she drowned, we're moving on, you're at the mercy of local officials. Now, I'm sure in some ways America and the embassy could get involved, and private investigators may be able to come and help, but time is of the essence. And for every day she's gone, she's in more peril. And I love the Dominican Republic. I love the Bahamas. I love the Caribbean is amazing. But I don't think a lot of young people understand the risks that they take. My husband was living in Cancun after college, and he was teaching scuba diving. And I guess he gets into a car accident. So he goes to the local hospital. They wouldn't even treat him until he emptied his wallet and gave them the money up front. When you're in a foreign country, the rules are different. And we keep forgetting that. And so you would think, all right, if she goes missing, then there's a missing person, so the authorities do this and that. If the Dominican authorities are like, no, we're done, we can't waste any more resources on this, that's frightening. And she didn't go alone. She went with friends, but as usually happens, everybody starts to kind of go off, do their thing. And, I'm not saying this gentleman Ribe trafficked her was a part of a scheme. But when these schemes do happen, again, he's innocent until proven guilty. But when these schemes do happen, it's not, okay, we're just going to abduct you and throw you into a car. That's some of these cases. But in many of the cases, like we saw with the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking scheme, and where they end up drawing you in by you establishing trust in somebody. So they recruit your high school friends, or they recruit good-looking young individuals to flirt with you. And you're like, oh my gosh, this person's flirting with me. He really likes me, or she really likes me. And then they're like, look, can we go alone, have some privacy away from your friends, And then you're like, oh my gosh, yes, we're going to make out. And you become a victim. And the average child will tell their parents, I know. If I had a daughter and I said, look, okay, you might meet somebody and they might ask you to, go somewhere or hang out. Say, I know, mom, I know. Do you really know? Really? And I don't know what happened in this scenario, but they were out late. They were going to a beach. He claims they went for a swim. Once the witnesses left and that she was at his mercy. And again, he might be innocent. Maybe he did go for a swim barely drown and decide to go to sleep without her being around. Maybe he thought she went home. Who knows? But she's gone. And we're about to go into spring break. And when people see these stories, they go, that won't happen to me. That won't happen to me. It's happening to people like you. Be careful. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So if you're like me, I wake up, my phone is just buzzing and getting all these alerts. And you wake up and you go, okay, so what the hell is going on now? So you wake up, and now I guess Trump has stepped things up with Canada, and Canada has stepped things up, and we got this trade war going on. And it's been a little chaotic. Trump said to bear with him. Some people are. They're like, we trust him. Others are, what's going on here? So stock market has been not liking the tariffs. When the tariffs go away, the stock market seems to like it. When the tariffs come, stock market seems to drop. Tariffs are a way for the company to bring in money. They're also a way to make a point to surrounding countries or countries you do trade with that you are not going to be screwed, or there's going to be there's a new sheriff in town. And so if a country is screwing over another country, or if they are outpricing or manipulating markets that affects their prices, the tariffs are a weapon that countries use to help address shortcomings or to try to deter behavior that could affect pricing. And it's a non-military, non-bloodbath way of trying to get what you want. So Trump said today that based on Ontario, Canada, placing a 25% tariff on electricity coming into the United States, I have instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. He says, I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity. And now, of course, my computer is deciding to kind of go off the handle on this one. And so I'd like to finish the remaining part of his text or his tweet if I'm able to pull it up. But things are stepping up. Now, Trudeau is not a part of the conversation anymore. So with the new Prime Minister of Canada, there's some work to be done. And Trump says he's going to be declaring a national emergency on electricity with the threatened area. And the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, put a 25% tariff on Canadian electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. Why? He was responding to earlier tariffs from Trump. Now, the tariffs started because Trump wanted Canada to do a better job with the border, stop it from coming in, do a better job on their end, just like he told Mexico they have to do a better job on their end. The Canadian border doesn't get as much attention as the border with Mexico, but there's still illegal immigrants coming across the northern border. There's also fentanyl coming across. When you have criminals trying to figure out the best way to get things through, they're going to look for they're going to look for ways to sneak in. And if things are getting really beefed up at the southern border, then they're going to use the northern border. And then Trump is responding to other tariffs. And so, and I'm not defending him, but when they say which came first, the chicken or the egg, people are going to be blaming Canada as them starting this. Other people are going to say, well, Trump started this. We were all at peace with Canada. We are still at peace with Canada. We are not going to war with Canada. But Trump wants Canada to comply. And now he is saying that these tariffs will go away if they become the 51st state of the union. Now, we spoke about this a little earlier. Trump had said, why would our country allow another country to supply us with electricity, even for a small area? Who made these decisions and why? And can you imagine Canada stooping so low as to use electricity that so affects the life of innocent people as a bargaining chip and threat? They will pay a financial price for this so big that it will be read about in history books for many years to come. Now, he's not wrong in terms of why the hell is America relying on another country for their electricity? Why hasn't this been fixed? Americans need to rely on American infrastructure. Okay. So that is odd. So there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done, a lot of explaining to do. What is going on? More auto tariffs are coming April 2nd. He wants Canada to drop their retaliatory tariffs on U.S. dairy and agricultural products. He said, if other egregious long-time tariffs are not likewise dropped by Canada, I will substantially increase on April 2nd the tariffs on cars coming into the U.S., which will essentially permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business of Canada. Now, he said the tariffs go away if Canada becomes the 51st state of the United States. He says the only thing that makes sense is for Canada to become our cherished 51st state. This will make all tariffs and everything else totally disappear. Now, somebody looking at that is going to say, look, Trump, come on. Really, is this a blackmail? Is this? But on the other end, how I read it is differently. I read it as there's something that Canada is doing that is a thorn in his side. There is something that he wants control of that he can't because of Canada. And he wants them to comply. The border has been an issue for a while. The fentanyl coming in. But I hear reporters go, if the border becomes secure, the fentanyl stops. Do the tariffs stop? Or is this really about him wanting a 51st state? Now, yes, that would go in the history books, but really, does Trump want Canada as a 51st state, especially if it becomes blue, and then it tips the Senate, and it tips the Electoral College? I mean, really tips the Electoral College. Is that really, really what he wants? As I had suggested the first hour, he really wants Greenland. And maybe all this talk about Canada is a distraction. So that if he doesn't get Canada and he makes nice with Canada, he could go, all right, you know what, that's fine. You guys all happy? We'll just deal with Greenland. Yeah, well, that's better than you messing with Canada. I mean, is that what's going on here? I know Canada is rich in resources, rich in land. Trust me, if America could have control of Canada, that would be nice. But that's not very popular. It's not popular with Americans, and it's not popular with Canadians. And we've had a fairly decent relationship with Canada, but that's also because the media hasn't covered all the other BS. And there has been BS going on. Not enough for Canada to cease to exist, but it woke up the sleeping giant. And Trump warned them. And so they are deciding to do trade wars, and they think they could take on Trump. You can't take on Trump. Okay? And so I don't want to see chaos. I do not want there to be war with Canada, and we will not go to war with Canada. I understand a lot of people are ticked off about what happened with Niagara Falls, right? But tariffs, this isn't the first time this has happened. There have been tariffs, Lyndon B. Johnson, Ronald Reagan, George Bush. I mean, even Biden extended some of I think there were solar panel tariffs during Biden's presidency. There's been steel wars and other, so this isn't anything new. Tariffs happen, and they are a non-bloody way of things happening in the modern world that will, I guess, address wrongs from an economic standpoint or exert power or exert market dominance or to protect from somebody else's market dominance. And these are things that happen. Raising they might call it a tariff. It's a tax. It's a price hike. I mean, these are things that might not even make news. But it does seem a little chaotic right now. Now, people are hoping there's a method to Trump's madness. Some people want Trump gone. Other people want Trump to do his work. So we'll see what happens. 1-877 Doc Dali.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. So March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and the American Cancer Society estimates that we're going to have about 107,000 new cases of colon cancer this year. 54,000 of them men, 52,000 women, so nearly half and half. And about 46,950 new cases of rectal cancer. That's 150,000 cases plus. And the rates of people being diagnosed have dropped overall. Why? Well, because we have more screening through Cologuard, through colonoscopies. But we are starting to see numbers increase, especially in people younger than 50 years of age. The overtime lifetime risk of developing colorectal cancer is about 1 in 24 for men and 1 in 26 for women. So this isn't just about men or women. Any of us could be at risk, which is why I think our diet, I think our obesity is a big part of it. And so we're going to be interviewing I'm really, really excited about that. Dr. Liana Tsitsikis of the American College of Surgeons to talk to us about colorectal cancer and why we're seeing a rise in younger individuals. 1 in 10 colorectal cancer patients are under the age of 50. And remember, we were only starting to screen at the age of 50. I was recommending sooner, especially if you had blood in the stool, changes in your stool, if you were of African-American descent. But 1 in 10, so 10% of these colon cancer patients are in younger adults. And we're seeing more and more people in their 20s and 30s getting colon cancer. Early detection with colonoscopy can prevent it. But many individuals don't realize they're having the symptoms: bleeding, itching, rectal pain, constipation. So this is a great interview. I want you to listen in with Dr. Liana Tsitsikis. Here we go. So lung cancer is still one of the top cancer killers. But when we look at younger adults, we are now seeing colorectal cancer being the leading cause of cancer death in men under 50, and the second leading cause in women under 50. As you know, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. In my family, both sides of my family had colon cancer. And so I've been screened multiple times, and I'm going to continue to get my screens because this is not an easy illness to have, and it's very, very challenging. So I am so excited for our next guest. For Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, leading colorectal surgeons from the American College of Surgeons are discussing this alarming rise in colorectal cancer in younger adults. And joining us is Dr. Liana Tsitsikis, American College of Surgeons Commission on Cancer State Chair of Oregon. And she is here to talk to us about some of these questions. Doctor, we are so happy to have you. Can you please talk to us about some advice you have if somebody is under 41 years old who is concerned about colorectal cancer?
Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, it's younger than 45. This is a disease that we're seeing that affects a lot of young people. So awareness of the disease is critical. Every individual has its own, family history, has its own lifestyle, dietary habits. And I think what is extremely important is to understand if those increase the risk for this disease. I always say to my patients, respect your family history. There are genetic predisposition in certain families that may increase the risk for colorectal cancer. And then also discussing about dietary and behavioral habits that may increase the risk. For example, high consumption in processed meats, alcohol, sugars, all of those things can increase the risk for colorectal cancer. So awareness of what it is, that it's it increases in incidence and increases and the contributing factors are key to know for any of us younger than 45.
Why are we seeing more colorectal cancer cases in younger adults? And how can we encourage people to get screened?
We don't know what is the one cause that is behind colorectal cancer. It's a very complex disease. There are multiple factors. They can be genetic, they can be familial, as well as I mentioned, contributing factors, dietary factors, and so forth. The screening is extremely important because we can catch a disease at a much earlier stage, or actually we can catch it even before it becomes colorectal cancer. Therefore, screening is that important because it does save lives.
What lifestyle changes are you recommending that people make to reduce their risk of colorectal cancer?
The lifestyle changes is that keeping a good fiber heavy in a good diet, high fiber diet, the Mediterranean diet that a lot of times we discuss, which is a lot of fruits and vegetables and not as much of consumption of processed foods, is definitely what is recommended. The only study that really has come out about the high fiber diet was a big study in JAMA that did show that high fiber foods really decrease the risk of recurrence in colorectal cancer for patients that already had colorectal colorectal cancer. But definitely high fiber fruits, vegetables. That's what I mean by high fiber nuts, and avoiding processed meats as much as possible will be the best diet that one could have. And also exercise. I always recommend to patients colonic health is really health of the whole body. So if we exercise and keep an active lifestyle as much as possible, it will definitely help in decreasing the risk for colorectal cancer.
If someone does receive a colorectal cancer diagnosis, what should they know about treatment options?
So again, the diagnosis of colorectal cancer depends on what stage one is at the time of diagnosis. The common first step in early stages will be surgery, and then what we call adjuvant therapy, chemotherapy. If it's for colon cancer, rectal cancer gets to be a little bit more complex, and patients may receive chemotherapy and radiation therapy before they have surgery. The treatment, again, depends on the stage, multiple discussions with the doctor, and the navigation through this journey, I think will take a lot of the anxiety. The very positive thing that I want to push as a message, we have come a long way with our treatments, and our patients do well. It's very important that they have this very transparent and honest communication with their doctors. When it comes to survivorship overall, because every patient at the time of diagnosis is also a cancer survivor, is to continue with everything else we mentioned before, the healthy lifestyle, the good diet, and their resources to help them through that journey after the treatment.
This has been so helpful. Where can we go to learn more?
A great website with a lot of information, critical information for screening and treatment, as well as survivorship, is the site www.facs.org/colorectal cancer. It's the site of the American College of Surgeons, and it has a plethora of information for everybody.
Love it. Dr. V. Liana, can't wait to have you back. Thank you and your team, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. All right, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.